Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bad Bit Show. I am your host, Mr. Bad Bit. It is here where I take content creators or gamers alike and we talk about what gets them passionate about the gaming industry. Alongside me today, someone I'm very excited to have, Janet. Where are you from? What do you do? How do people get to know you?
Hey, what's up, guys? Excited to be on here. I just got here, but hoping to come back. So I am from Chicago, Illinois, and I write about games and I do YouTube content about games predominantly. I'm slowly starting to explore like streaming
Hmm.
spaces as well. So
And what's that
we
channel called?
yeah, my channel is Gameonysus.
Okay.
So it's youtube.com/Gameonysus. It is spelled game on YSUS. And kind of the origin of that naming, it's like a mix between gaming and Dionysus because I love games and I love
Nice.
mythology and I love alcohol. So I thought I'd mesh them all together into a name that felt like unique enough to not really be grabbed by anyone,
Yeah.
but unfortunately a little too unique for people to be able to say. But we're gonna work it out.
Don't worry about it. Like I said before, my pronunciation skills. I can barely pronounce my name, Joseph. I sometimes screw up bad big games. So like it is not. I like your name because it's something totally different. It's something unique, and it's something that we don't hear a lot, right? So like with me with bad big games, that origin story is my first channel's name, which still is this channel, Poly Games. Nobody knew what
Mhm.
poly meant. A lot of people thought that it meant polyamorous gaming, and I was like, far from it.
It
So
is
I
the
was,
first thing that comes to mind.
yeah, and so I was just like, I meant kind of like polygons, but I get it. And so, uh, and so I was like, well, like what gets you passionate? So I'm like games, of course, and now like what influences do I want to take from other media? And so
Mhm.
the one the two things I kept on thinking for a Twitter handle was Mr. Robot, and then for a YouTube channel, I love J.J. Abrams. I
Mhm.
can't get enough lens flare, so I was just like, yeah, I think Bad Bit would be awesome, like Bad Robot, and so like that's
Mhm.
how my name comes into it. Totally like where can I rip off stuff?
Nice. I like that origin story. Foot of a Ferret has a similar origin story where he just kind of stole like what is the name of that band? It's not Queens of Stone Chicken Foot or something like that. I forgot the name of that. It's like a rock band.
Okay, Mouse
God,
Rat. That's
no,
the
no, not Mouse Rat. But he like just took that and just
right.
mixed up. He's like ferrets are cool, and he just kind of melded it all together
That's awesome.
into an equally weird name.
That's
So,
so,
but yeah,
that's
I
so
love those
awesome.
stories.
So Janet, we're here today because I want to know, and I how I start this show all the time is what is the game that got you into gaming? And when I say that, I remember as a kid watching and maybe even playing my brother, or watching my brother play like NES and like
Hmm.
Back to the Future. I always say, um, but like the first game that I got and fell in love with is Super Mario World, and that's how I always say it, is like, what's the game you fell in love with?
Hmm.
Because I think as content creators, we get so passionate about something and our love for something that has to open that door. So, what was the game that opened that door for you?
Yeah, I think it'd have to be probably Yoshi's Island on
Oh,
the SNES Junior. I had an SNES Junior,
oh,
not a regular
wow,
SNES.
oh,
Because we
wow.
got the SNES really late
Hmm.
in like its life cycle. Like we got our SNES when the N64 was already out. And it was like the first system in my household that we had. And my brother is 6 years older than me, and he had been like, "Oh, I want an N64. Like I want to play video games. I've played some games at people's houses. It was fun. I want an N64." And I can't remember if my parents or my grandma bought him the console, but
Hmm.
whoever was paying for it was like, do you really play video games though? Like they're basically like, do you even game, bro? But like of the 90s.
Right.
Um, and they were like, well, N64 is kind of expensive. Why don't we get you the older one? If you play that for like a year or so and you show that you're actually
Mm,
interested in it, we'll get you the N64.
mm.
And that's what happened. So that's why we have an SNES Junior. It's funny because like I mean, I obviously know what a real SNES looks like a
Yeah,
regular one, but
yeah.
like that one looks weird to me because I had like the Junior and the Junior is so much better.
That's so awesome because like, yeah, it's like the do you even game bro moment, but like you as a kid, like it struck your parents as odd because video games for the longest time were marketed as like boy toys, right? Like there's something like little boys play and not little girls have their Barbies. Brats aren't even a thing at this point. and you're like, no, this is what I want. I really like that.
Oh, actually, I didn't ask for it. My brother
Oh,
did.
oh, so you took
Because
it.
I
You
was
kind of
really
took it from
young.
him.
I was
Yeah.
like super young. I don't even know if I was probably like, 4 or 5 at the time when I
Oh
first started
wow.
playing video games. So
Yeah.
I didn't never ask for like, well, I asked for gaming stuff eventually once I like liked it. Because with handhelds and all that, and I got my Sony stuff and he did the Nintendo stuff, and we just that way we could combine and have all the consoles. Before
Yeah.
the Xbox came in, and we're like, I guess no one's gonna do Xbox because we don't have a third sibling
Yeah.
to be Xbox, so no
Yeah.
one's gonna do it. Oh
Oh
well.
wow. For me and my brother. So you and your brother 6 years apart.
Yeah.
Oh, same here with my brother.
Cool.
With us, we didn't do that. We actually we added on to it. So like if we were playing the N64, we even think about, hey, should we ask for a PS1? We're just like, let's double down and get more games for this system because we really like it. And so
Okay.
yeah, so that's really awesome. What were some other games that you fell in love with other than Yoshi's Island?
A few games that stick out. Kirby for the Game Boy.
Okay.
It was just one of the first games I played, and I loved it. What's not to love? He's adorable. The gameplay's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a nice little adventure. I loved Super Mario 6 Golden Coins. That's one of my favorite games ever, I would say. Like I replayed it not too long ago. Still totally holds up. I think definitely an underrated Mario game. I don't hear that one talked about as much, but
Yeah.
it's so brilliant, and it's also crazy because like if you get a game over, you lose all of like the golden coins and have to like you don't have to redo the game, you have to redo all the bosses.
Hmm.
So it was like so much pressure to like kind of get to that point, and you want to save up enough lives to feel like you can do it. And they had like the little like kind of gambling raffly little mini game thing where you
Yeah.
get the different lives and they had so many cool like power ups and abilities. That was one of my like earlier Mario games that I can kind of remember playing. So that's kind of another thing that really stuck with me.
Where
Yeah.
does because you get the N64 after the SNES, right? Where does Mario 64 land for you when it comes to Mario games? Because to me, like
Mhm.
that is the pinnacle. Just like with so many others, like to me, I am a very mainstream gamer. I do like usually what the crowd likes. So
Mhm.
to me, or most of the time, to me, yeah, the best Mario game still is like 64, hands down.
Yeah, I would say basically the same.
Yeah.
I played it. It's like one of the games I've replayed the most too. I'm not big on replaying games. I mean, I'm gonna get more into that now that I play games so much more than I did
Mhm.
when I was younger. But that's a game that I always go back to. Like replayed it a few years ago. I replayed it last year. Like I was doing a thing where every Thursday I'd work through a retro game until I finished it. So like it'd be like Throwback Thursday, I'm playing Mario 64 for like an hour.
Oh,
I
that's
would do that for
awesome.
weeks and weeks until
Yeah.
I finally beat it. And I had so many like and I wanted to write an article on this. I think I just kind of forgot to do it, and then the moment kind of passed. But I had so many like crazy deaths and weird situations because I kind of forgot the game a bit since it had been
Mhm.
a while. So like when you get your hat stolen, or just the crazy falls you can do from like
Yeah.
different planes, and like or the kind of not really glitchy, but like sort of weird way you can kind of like cheese the game if you jump at a certain point, a certain angle, and the little like the how it only takes like a little tiny polygon to be able to like still stand on something. And the
Yeah.
enemies are also really hard. Like there's the bullies that would like ram into you and stuff. And
I
then
hated those
it was such
guys.
a great game. You could punch things. I feel like I don't know why more Mario games don't let you punch things. I think that was a great mechanic.
Yeah.
that I would-
What is your favorite level in Mario 64? This is one of my favorite questions to ask. A lot of people, everybody's different.
um I'd want to like look at all of them and really give like a more critical answer, but off the
Okay.
top of my head, I would say I'm gonna put Bomb Field, which is really basic. It's the first one, but the
Shoot.
music is so good.
I think
Like it's so good.
yeah, it
Like
is. It is.
hope we don't get hit with copyright because of that. You know how Nintendo is.
No, I mean it was perfect.
Like I'm
I
sorry, you're gonna
I
have to take this
I
down.
think Luke Lord said the same thing. I think it was Bombfield. Someone said to me it's always the Egyptian level, the one with all the pyramids and stuff. I love that one.
Oh man, I am stuck at flying in that one. Like it's fun, but
That's
like
why I
flying
loved
is
it.
so hard in that game. Like
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that could use a remaster for sure. I mean, it had one DS, which was really good,
Yes, it
minus
was.
the beginning
Yeah.
when you were Yoshi in a Mario hat. That was dumb. That was a mistake. After that, it was golden though.
But and I think like that's like where Odyssey is the best is when more levels are like that, where you can fly, like the one where you get to like throw your cap on a little like pterodactyl and you get to fly around and he has a little mustache. Adorable. Like New Donk City, another great example. Like the Mexico level in Mario, fantastic. It's fantastic. Like I love that level so much. With that said, uh N64, is that the for me, that's where really like I love this and I'm
Hmm.
addicted to it. I'm only 7. This is a problem. Like is that the console that really opens up gaming to you, or what console would that be?
Um, I want to say that's the one that probably opened everything up.
Hmm.
It's the one that I like think about the most and that like the most when I think of favorite retro consoles. It's pretty much the N64. Even though I
Yeah.
really like as a kid, and even up to a few years ago, I really didn't own that many games per console, which was crazy. Like when I look back on my collections are so small.
Same
And then
here.
I'm like, wow, and I still didn't even beat these games. Like I'm so whack. Like what was I doing? I don't really know, but I wasn't finishing Ratchet and Clank. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, like why isn't this done? But yeah, so it'd be probably N64, but I guess to give a slightly more interesting answer, I feel like the PS2 and GameCube era was actually where I was like most heavily into games as a kid because I played so much Smash Bros and so much Mario Party 4. I don't know why I'm not better at Smash Bros because I played
Same
literally
here.
hours and
Yeah.
hours every single day. I would do a tournament of 64 with me and my brother. So that's 64 like people at the
Yeah.
base bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
remember
for
this.
anyone listening to this, like Google what Tournament 64 Super Smash Bros. It's giant. It literally takes like 3 hours or four
Yeah.
hours to complete.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're like, if you're evenly matched with the person. And me and my brother were pretty evenly matched as players. Neither of us could really do the fancy stuff like wave dashing and stuff. But
Mm.
yeah, it was insane. Like it would take so long. Like we tried to do it a year or two ago for nostalgia's sake. Like, oh,
And you
let's do it
couldn't
just
do
like when
it.
we were kids. It's so long. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why did I ask to do this? I asked that every day. That or Mario Party 4. And almost every single day my brother obliged to play either of those games. And they're
Yeah.
both very long.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Mario
that was when I
Party
was
is
most heavily
still a
into there.
game that I have like I've maybe played once.
Oh my God. So which
Yeah.
one though? Because some
I
of them suck. Like the new
yeah.
ones really are really, really crummy.
I think before the Wii U version. So
Okay.
I think it was on the Wii.
I can't speak to the Wii one. I think
Okay.
it might have already been getting whack at that point, but I know the GameCube ones are good. Though I only played one GameCube one. I only played Mario
Mhm.
Party 4 and I only played Mario Party for the N64. I didn't have
Mhm.
any other Mario Party experiences.
Yeah, no.
But
With me, when it comes to like Super Smash, I'm right there with you, dude. My brother and I would do the same exact thing. And yeah, like we would bring my cousin Carlos would come.
mm,
Carlos would come every weekend, and we would just play N64 all the time. And like Super Smash Brothers was one of those games where we always go back to. So
mhm.
like I think I said this on one podcast, but like I'm very excited for Red Dead Redemption 2. It's one of my favorite games, but that Smash trailer got me so hyped. I'm so ready for it, and it's silly because you know it's gonna come, but like man, you're so pumped, you
Yeah, we
know.
still don't know if it's a port or a new game or a weird blend.
I,
So
I think it's Splatoon 2 type of sequel where it's Smash Brothers 1.5, but you're happy it's there. It's enough
yeah,
changes to make it different. It's a you know he said he's been on it for 4 years. I think it's a new game.
yeah, I
But
think so.
it's not that big of a push though. With that said though, uh, I've had gaming lulls, real big gaming lulls.
Hmm.
Like for me, there were portions of the last generation where I remember when Gears of War came out. Gears of War, all I played, and then I remember Gears of War, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 4 are games that I played, and that was it. For me, one game that got me out of gaming for a while was World of Warcraft.
Hmm.
God, that got me. That got me several times real bad. And and that's all I would play. Have you ever experienced like one of those like I hate my brother said this to me and like it makes me cringe. That growing out of games moment.
Um, Yeah, like I wouldn't, I also wouldn't maybe frame it that way, but yeah, I definitely had some big gaps. I would
Yeah.
say my biggest gap would be I don't think I ever had like a year where I didn't play games,
Hmm.
but I feel like, well, actually, I feel like high school was a little bit less than I remember being. Like, I don't remember playing a whole lot towards the end of high school.
Mm,
I think I would just kind of peter off a little bit. Like, I can't remember like what games I was beating senior year. Like, I don't think I was really doing a whole lot like
yeah.
with that. Um, and then what kind of brought me back was like indie games. I watched Indie Games the movie on Netflix. Like I'm that basic person. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, and then I was like, these are what like I didn't really know anything about indie games at all. And then I was like, oh, Steam's a thing, and I heard people in college talking about Steam, and I'm like, I don't really know what that is, or what that means. And then I like learned what that was, and then I started getting back into games just playing Steam because at the time I didn't have like in 2012, 2013, I only had like a PS3 was my latest console. Like
Yeah.
I didn't get to the latest gen until like a few years after the fact. So that's another reason that I kind of fell off of it because I'm like, well, I'm not really. Oh, what actually kind of killed it too actually was the because I've always been really into Nintendo. Like
Mm.
I do love
I
Sony.
couldn't tell with all the.
Yeah, the giant Yoshi, the 30-inch Yoshi that I
Yeah.
have behind me. I love Nintendo. And but once again, my brother would kind of get the Nintendo consoles. I would still play them like plenty heavily. It's just that the only difference is like where's the console? Is it in your room or my room? That's literally the only difference. But we were in each other's rooms all the time, so it did
Yeah.
not matter.
Yeah.
But I just had like the Sony stuff, so like I love Sony, I love Nintendo. But I think I always like Nintendo a little bit more just because they have like those franchises that can kind of keep you there. I feel like with Sony and Xbox, I mean, Sony definitely has like some lines, and so does Xbox with Halo and etc. But
Yeah.
like, it doesn't have as many things that I'm like into
That grab
that last
you.
as long. Exactly.
Yeah.
Nor do I think they should. Like, Jack and Dexter is one of my favorite series of all time, but I love that it's done. I don't want it
Yeah.
to continue. Now, if it did continue, Jack 4, I would buy it. I definitely would. But just because I have to,
But at least give those long breaks. Like that's why I think Sony does so great. Is it's like they'll let their studios do. It seems let them do different things, and like
Exactly.
let series go. So like for me like seeing Guerrilla Games that we know for Killzone what
Hmm.
was used to be the Halo killer. I remember those days. Make Horizon and like blow us
Yeah.
away with it is like incredible. I like that Sony does that, and that's the one thing. I don't know where you fall with
Hmm.
Microsoft, but I was playing Sea of Thieves with our previous guest Luke Lore,
Hmm.
and I was like, there's something about Xbox that I think that doesn't hold me this generation, or it doesn't hold me at all anymore.
Hmm.
Because like I like he was like, can you release the bow or the sails or whatever? I was like, oh yeah, it's X to do. Oh wait, no, it's A. Like I used to be such a big Microsoft fan, and then like it
Hmm.
just fell off because I feel like games like Halo, games like Gears, they ran their course
Hmm.
and we're kind of done with them, and they kind of had these conclusions, and then all of a sudden, no, we have another trilogy to announce, and it kind of to me was like Sony has this like great way of like, okay, here's where it ends. But with Nintendo, they're just so talented, and like you
Like,
can
it never has to end.
it never
And
has to.
and it never gets bad. It's like there isn't like the worst Mario game is still pretty good.
Yeah,
Like, what
yeah,
is the worst Mario game? Sunshine? Because I love Sunshine. Like,
yeah.
so
I keep when they say that,
Sunshine's so good.
yeah, so dude, it's
Except for having
so
to, I don't like the only thing I would like to change about Sunshine. Well, it's actually a couple things, but one main thing is that I don't like that you can't have all the nozzles at once.
yeah,
It's annoying.
yeah. Oh man,
So I would
like
like to change that. But
I like yeah. Everybody's like worst one's Sunshine, but I'm
Sunshine
like
was
it's so
so good.
good.
It's
It's
so
so
much
good.
fun. Sunshine 2 would be awesome. Like, I would
Yeah.
love a second Sunshine game.
Or a crossover. Do it where you're in the Splatoon world. That would be amazing for me.
That'd be cute. Yeah.
You know,
Um, but my
if you
big
can't tell,
lull.
I'm really big into Splatoon. I
Oh
have
yeah,
a
me too. I
hat
love
right below
Splatoon.
me. It's
I've thought about getting a Splatoon tattoo, but I haven't gone that far yet. And also,
okay.
I'm like C rank, so why? But um, well, I'm B rank. I'm C rank in Clam Blitz though, because I still don't know what Clam Blitz is. Like,
hmm No, me
and
neither.
don't explain it to me because I'm not gonna understand. Like, I've
Me
googled
neither.
it. I played it. Like, I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening.
To me, when
Um,
it comes to rank, I'm like, yeah, I'm rank B, and that's fine because I get very anxious. I'm a very anxious person, Janet.
mhm.
So once I'm like, I don't want to lose this. Like we just hit
I
over a
feel that
thousand.
is like when that rank meter goes down. Like,
It's,
also like part of me doesn't. like there's the the little like save point of the rank
Yeah,
meter, and one
yeah.
time I was above that, and then I went down, and I figured I'd go down to the save point line, and they dropped me the whole way because I wasn't above the line far enough, and I thought that was like really petty, and I was like
Well, this is
really
bullshit.
upset.
Yeah,
Like I'm above the line, like
yeah.
that, like
Uh,
this is the whole point. But
I'm sorry
um,
I triggered you.
but the big thing for me was actually the since I love Nintendo so much though it's like my favorite one. When the Wii came out, that kind of really like I was kind of done with games when the Wii came out because I
Mm,
hated the Wii and I still hate the Wii to this day.
same here.
Um, yeah. Oh, great. I'm glad. But yeah, the I think the controller is so asinine that I can't stand to look at it or exist with it. I don't like using it. I never use it. And one thing I hated about the Wii U, because I actually really like the Wii U, even though the gamepad does feel a little like kitty and plasticky.
Yeah.
I love the games, and it was like such a fun console. And that's when I first played Splatoon. Like there were so many great hits on there. And that Smash is great, and that Mario Kart 8 is great. I know a lot of it's coming to Switch or on Switch already, but
How do
like
you feel about that, by the way?
I'm all about it
Yeah,
because I'm not dusting off that Wii U and I want to play some games. So, like,
yeah.
I haven't played Wind Waker HD, and I'm like, can this be on Switch? Because I'm like, I don't want to have to get my Wii U out to play it.
That is one Legend of Zelda that I have missed, and I want it to come back.
It's one of the
So,
few ones I've played, actually.
oh
I haven't played
really?
that many. I've played very little Zelda in my life. I've
Oh
played
man,
Phantom of the Hourglass for DS that everyone hates. I loved it. I thought it was great. I
I
played
don't play any of
Wind
the
Waker,
only one I did
Breath of
on
the Wild.
online. Oh, I'm so sorry. The
That's
only
it.
one I did was on a handheld is Link Between Worlds.
Cool. Yeah,
But
yeah,
to
yeah.
me, when it comes to the consoles, like that's where, I got shitty hands. I got carpal tunnel of the
Mhm.
wazoo, so I can't really do mobile that well. So to me, like it's Majora's Mask, it's Ocarina of Time, it's Breath of the Wild. Like those are Zelda games to me.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
Oh, my hatred of the Wii. That's it. The
Yes.
Wii ruined games for me. It
Yeah.
did. But yeah, I didn't like the the controller setup, and I didn't like the push towards
Motion.
motion control. And I still don't really. I think motion control's gotten so much better that I actually honestly really enjoy when it's integrated in games. Like I love motion control in Splatoon because it makes sense
Yeah.
for the camera, but like I don't like it for my main way to play
Like
a
Star
game.
Fox Zero.
Yeah, like I don't think it's not my preferred thing. And then it's just like I just hated everything about it. I
Yeah.
did play a little bit of Wii because my roommates had a Wii in college, and that's where we would play Mario Kart on. So I was like, all right. And so then I had to use the Wiimote, and it was stupid, and I hated it. And I always hated it. I'm always bad with it. It's dumb.
Yeah.
And one thing that drove me crazy about the Wii U was that this is when I got Mario Party 8 because I didn't realize the Mario Parties had gotten bad. No one told me. So I bought it. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun time
Yeah.
with the family. And then I got it at like GameStop used or something. And then when we took it home, we're like, wait, we need Wiimotes. Why do we need hardware from a previous generation to play a current generation console? And I never understood that. I've been asking this question
Yeah.
I've been shouting this to the internet forever, even though no one cares anymore. It's like a complaint that's like 6 years old, but I'm so upset. And then we went and we got the Wiimotes because we wanted to play the game. And then
And
we're like, this game sucks. And then we're like, why do we have these Wiimotes? Why do we have all these things in our lives?
ah,
Um,
to me, yeah, that's where like
yeah.
for me, that's where I left Nintendo. I left them for the Wii. They got me back on board for the Wii U. I was really excited. I don't mind the
Same.
controller. I get it. It does look kitty
It's actually
now.
really comfortable.
It
That's the
is.
weird.
It's super comfortable.
Yeah, like it's no Switch, but it
No.
was cool. Did
Yeah.
you ever play it with in tablet mode?
All the time. All the
Yeah,
time.
actually, and that's when I was like, and I was really big on that. Like, especially I was playing a lot during the World Series, and
Mm.
obviously the World Series was on the TV. But I'm like, it's all good because I got like Kirby on my tablet.
I
And
was
granted,
playing
you
Call
couldn't
of
go
Duty
very
a
far.
lot on it.
You couldn't go far, but you could. It was something. I was
Yeah.
on the sofa. It
Yeah.
was chill. I couldn't go to my room or the balcony or anywhere else, but
But that's it. That's fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice.
But to
Captain Toad on
me,
there. Yeah.
like the promise of third parties that never came, like all these things that they said, like this is the beginning of this generation, and then like PlayStation's like hold my beer. Like it was kind of like it was a really bad time. So I sold my Wii U within I think a year and a half, and I was just like, Nintendo's done. Like if I have videos up still of me saying like Nintendo's a sinking ship, and I keep those up there to keep me humble. And and to me, with the Switch, it was just like this is everything I've. This is like when I talk about like in my childhood, like we talk about like on the playground, like what would be the best console, right? And like that is it. Like it's not VR, it's not augmented reality. It's let me just take my console on the go with me without me having to rip out all these wires and everything. And
Yeah.
so when the Switch comes out, Janet, what are your thoughts going in? And obviously, what they're positive now. I hope.
Oh yeah. The Switch is probably so. Well, I guess I'll start with what you asked, which is my thoughts going in. My thoughts
Yeah.
going in were I thought it was gonna work.
Mm.
I didn't think it would be as successful as it is. I don't think anyone could have predicted how successful it would be. I heavily underestimated Breath of the Wild, which I think even fanboys did, which is
Yeah.
crazy to think because it's like one of the greatest games I've ever played in my life and it probably will ever play, which is insane.
Hmm.
um, but for me, I was like, okay, I know it's gonna be a good game. I knew it'd be good though. I figured it'd be like a 9, not like a greatest game ever. But I'm like, yeah, that'll be good. But I was never a really big Zelda fan, so that didn't really grab me the same way it grabbed so many other people.
Hmm.
So my concerns going in were the I didn't like the original presentation of the unveiling of the Switch concerned me because it was so heavily focused on HD Rumble and
Motion.
motion control. So I was really worried that like even though this was what I always wanted, which is a console handheld hybrid because I
Hmm.
love handhelds, but I also love home consoles. So I thought this would be when we kind of there was a rumor about that the NX would be this, and that's been the rumor for like years or like a
Yeah.
year or two. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, probably. And when you think of the Wii U, that's what the Wii U was trying to do but didn't do. So I'm like, yeah, I could the NX will probably be that. So when they unveiled the Switch, I was down for the concept, but I wasn't feeling how they were promoting it. Like I'm like, well, what games are we really gonna get for this thing? Okay, you show me Breath of the Wild, but also that's been like delayed for forever. I mean, I guess it'll come out. Cool. What else do you have? 1-2 Switch? That's trash. Like, what do you have?
Yeah.
So my concern was like, where are the games? I was still definitely in for it. Like I pre-ordered as soon as I could. And like all of us pre-ordered in my family, so that was like I was definitely down for it day one.
Mm.
But I had some concerns based on what I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um,
And then it
feelings now?
comes out.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. It
Yeah.
is it's exceeded my expectations by a lot. It is my favorite console currently, and I will go as far to say, and I have gone this far already to say that I think it's my favorite console of all time, and I don't think that will change for a
Yeah.
while.
I've said that too. Like even a few months. Like
People like it's too early. I'm like, when you know. Like
you
it's
you know when you have something special. It just it is like I love this thing. Like the first year I tell a lot of people this, like I put 100 hours into my PS4 in 2017. I put at least 1,000 hours on my Switch. Like
yeah,
the
it's
Switch
so
tore me
easy.
away from everything. Like I literally, I'm gonna be real with you. I only turned on my PlayStation 4 for Horizon Zero Dawn and Destiny, and that was pretty much it. And like for Nintendo, I'm like every month I'm buying something.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've played a. For me, I'm actually I'm like a very weird person in the sense the PS4 didn't end up grabbing me in any way.
Mhm.
I'm an Xbox One person, which is a whole
Get
nother
out of
story in
my
itself.
show.
I like the controller more, and I had
Nah,
it
yeah,
first.
yeah,
So then it's my what ended up happening in the abridged version is it's my default console for third party because I like the controller and it was the one I had originally, and
yeah,
I just kind of attached to Xbox as like my intro into this current gen.
yeah,
And then I did get a PS4 because I'm like, yeah, I want to play like some of these games that are coming out, and some of them I still am waiting for and looking forward to, like God of War. And then Horizon, I just missed because the timing was so bad. Like I know it's a great
yeah,
game and everyone tells me to
yeah.
play it, and I think I will go back, but I'm like, I can't play that. I'm playing Breath of the Wild. Like
Yeah,
so, I was one of
that's what
those
happened to
people.
me. I played Horizon, and Horizon is a game. Like a lot of people are like, I don't like the controls. It's you have to learn them. It's not something that is easy. It is very intuitive. It's very not intuitive. It is hard. So I played like three, maybe 2 or 3 hours. I was like, I'm not getting into this. Oh no, because everybody's hyped it up. And I played Breath of the Wild, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is the most amazing game!" And then I went back to Horizon,
Mhm.
and then I played it, and then I fell in love with Aloy and the story, and like that is my game of the year. Like it is Horizon. It is like
Nice.
it has something real special to me. So like I understand that, and the one thing I also understand is the Xbox One controller. I'm playing it as much as I love the DualShock 4. My my carpal tunnel does not act up nearly as bad on the Xbox One
Yeah,
controller
I
that
think
does.
I can't speak to having like hand issues to that level, but I just feel like I think the Xbox One controller is just more ergonomic to
Yeah,
me. It is a little heavier, but I like having
I like
heft to
the
my
heft.
controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like that. The Switch controller is actually my favorite controller. The Pro controller is I think the most comfortable. So the Switch is just firing on all cylinders. Like the controller is really comfortable. It has some of the greatest games literally ever.
Yeah.
Like Breath of the Wild, Celeste, Odyssey.
Dude,
Like you
Celeste.
can
Oh
take
my
the things off.
god.
You have two
Yes.
controllers. Boom, you put them back on. It's a handheld. You
Yes.
toss it in there. It's now a console. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I love it. And yeah, I play it like constantly. Like so,
Yeah.
I play it so constantly that I actually at this point in my life have to actively really try to produce non-Nintendo related content because I don't want to just be the Nintendo person, but
Right.
Nintendo keeps doing really well and I don't feel like pretending to to
Why
venture
should
into
I
other things.
pretend to do? Yeah, no, that's awesome. And with that, I want to dive into the person that is Janet. And so with that, you said your whole family pre-ordered the Switch.
Mhm.
So your parents, your family, they're into games equally. Like they encourage it. They don't see it as El Diablo like my parents do.
My parents aren't into games like at all, I
Okay.
would say. So, like right now I actually do live with my family. So I live with my dad, my brother, and his girlfriend. So
Okay.
all four of us live together. And my dad's never been into games. But he's
Okay.
like he likes arcade games okay. Like he's really into Pac-Man. And there's this one I'm gonna tell a story also on my channel, but it's good enough that I don't care if I spread it to other places.
Yeah.
One time he was playing Pac-Man and it wasn't an arcade, it was at a like at an AMC theater and they have like, one arcade machine and he's playing
Yeah.
his game really into it and he's really good. And he was playing and I'm standing there and I'm like, I'm pretty short too. Like I'm 5 feet tall now and I might have been a little shorter during the story. And he's like getting really into it. He's moving the joystick all crazy and his hand slips off and he hits me in the face.
Oh,
And it's hilarious just to think that he was that into it for that moment. But that's like the
yeah.
most he's ever like done. I don't even think he's ever picked up like any like maybe when we were kids, like maybe at one point. Nah, I don't even think that. Like
Yeah.
they were very hands off with it.
Okay.
My grandma was the main person to buy the consoles. They weren't against it or
Really?
anything. They didn't
Oh
have any
wow.
restrictions on playing or anything. My parents were very hands off in their parenting in general. Like we didn't really have a lot of like we didn't get to do a lot. Like we didn't like go out much, but
Yeah.
we didn't have any rules like within our household in terms of computer time or consoles or anything like that.
Same here.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was chill. So then I just did my thing. I mean, I actually didn't play as heavily, I think, as some people did.
Hmm.
I did play a lot, but I don't know. I did other things too. I like played with toys or
Yeah.
whatever,
Oh
Bionicles,
yeah. Same
Legos.
here.
But I liked sports as a kid, so it was a pretty balanced childhood, I think, in
Yeah.
terms of what I did. But yeah, my brother's always been a gamer. And his girlfriend also plays games.
Mm.
So when there's three of us, and I'm like, okay, well, we need three switches because it's also a handheld, and we know we're gonna play it enough that we need like usually I'm totally down for sharing consoles because it's way cheaper, and I share
Yeah.
games all the time. Another reason I'm pro physical media is you can actually share the games, so it's like saving money. Um, like it's that's
Yeah.
but then it depends on the game too, because like for Breath of the Wild,
You're
like
like, this is mine.
where it's like, well, I'm gonna
This.
play it enough where I don't want to have to like, if it gets
Mhm.
annoying enough, like I'll just spend the $60. Like,
Yeah.
why are we gonna try to share this one cartridge? Like
Yeah.
Splatoon, same deal. But like, I got Mario plus Rabbids, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna beat it, and then you guys can just play it amongst yourselves
Yeah.
when you get to it. Yeah. So then we all like play games. We originally we did pre-order 3 Switches, but we only took home 2 because we like
Okay.
were kind of broke at the time, so we sold the other one on eBay.
I feel that.
Yeah, I'm the evil person selling stuff on eBay, by the
How
way.
dare you,
I know,
Janet?
you know.
How much
Yeah,
money
I
you make
sold
off
one
of
of the
it?
emulators too. Haha, I sold the mini NES. I know, and I have one.
Oh man.
Suckers. Call off for work and get your shit if you want it. And if you
That's
don't
how you
complain.
feel. You're like
Yeah,
whatever. Fuck off.
I don't know. Sorry, man. This is life.
Right.
The end.
Yeah. No. Like.
So don't pay for it.
My,
Like anyway, I didn't make that much off of it because we
yeah.
sold it before it came out.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have like the money to like buy our Switch. So we're like, well, we could have sold it for way more if we waited until after release. But we're like, I just need like an extra $100. So
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. But that's
Um,
awesome. Like
yeah.
my parents, my mom encourages it. She doesn't. She used to be the like. She read in an article GTA you get points for running over hookers and video
Oh
games are
yeah.
bad type of stuff. My dad, He hails from the great country of Spain. So video games never reached him. He's
Hmm.
very he's very for a very long time in my childhood, me and my dad had a disconnect because when my dad came to this country, he did not speak any English.
Hmm.
He actually taught himself how to read, write, and speak English. And so there was still, even like living in the country
Well, my
for,
dad too.
oh yeah, Spain as well.
Yeah, it's Mexico. Mexico, yeah.
Oh,
Like he came from Mexico, so he
that's so
to learn to
awesome.
speak and write and read and everything.
Yeah, and so like with my dad, like we have like a little bit of a disconnect because
Hmm.
I don't know Spanish at all
Yeah, me
because he
neither.
was
Well, I mean, I know a little bit, but not enough to like. I'm
to
not
yeah.
gonna like. I can hang out with someone. Like it's like nah.
Yeah, like to me, like my dad, like, he just didn't understand my passion, and I couldn't explain
Hmm.
it well. And so, even still to this day, he's just like, man, what? He's more like, meh, whatever. Like, this is I raised a nerd, not a soccer fiend like I wanted, but here I love him anyway. So like to me. Like my grandma and grandpa, this is funny as hell. When my grandpa was alive, we showed him the iPhone, and he thought it was the devil. That it
Hmm.
was the devil's work. I don't know. He's like, no, I don't like
Well, it is
this.
made by Apple, so no.
Oh, how dare you! Get out of my no.
Hey, I have an iPhone.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good. That's
and
good.
I had a Mac until I was like, well, I still have it, but it's very much dying.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I run everything off a MacBook Pro, so.
Oh my
Um.
God, I can't anymore.
Oh, I actually am gonna have an AMA. There's a question that talks into like how much have you spent? The MacBook Pro, a lot of money, but it was worth
Yeah,
it. I
I
love
have
it
a
so much.
MacBook. Well, mine's old, so it's a
Yeah.
MacBook Pro, but it's like 5 or 6 years old. But like those were like intensive years. Like some people
Yeah.
are like that's not that long. I'm like, no, this was like a TV. This was like a gaming PC. This was like a
Everything.
laptop. It was like a. I also spilled like a beer into it at one point. Like it's done. It's work.
Yeah.
It's
So
good.
with that said, again, my brother also. So how old are you and your brother, if you don't mind me
I'm
asking?
24 and he is gonna be 30.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 26. My brother's 33. So like our he has a wife and all this stuff, and he's always
Hmm.
very like "Meh," games. Like he's very super casual. He
Hmm.
plays Battlefront 2. He loves it. Good on him. So like he understands my gaming thing. Everybody does, but nobody is as into it as I am. So with that said, how do you realize that? Because I know you write for a couple of sites. You're
Hmm.
freelance and you run a video game channel. So what comes first, and how does it come up?
I guess what comes first in terms of the content I make,
Yeah,
or
like writing or just how you get
oh,
into
okay,
making
yeah,
content. Yeah.
yeah. Writing came first, and still I'm trying to keep it the forefront because I think it's what I like the most, and I think it's also probably what I'm best at.
Hmm.
I think my best articles are always gonna be better than my best videos right now. For like what they are, I think different people are obviously drawn to different things. So some people might never read any of my articles, and some people might never watch any of my videos, but maybe will consume the other media.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it just started. Oddly enough, like it actually started also with Yoshi's Island, like the whole me writing about
That's awesome.
games because I love writing. And I've always like been a writer to some extent. Like I have done and still kind of do poetry. I kind of put that on the back burner for now while I work
Hmm.
on games content, but that's been a big part of my life. I did blogging all throughout college, writing about my experiences in undergrad and just different like philosophies I have on things or perspectives. And one blog post I wrote was like kind of like what video games mean to me or what video games taught me about life type thing. And I wrote about Yoshi's Island and how I was afraid of boss battles, and I'm still kind of a little afraid of boss battles. Like I get very anxious about it. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. It's like a big test. Um, and I wrote about that game and like talking about playing the boss battles as kids and like when I was a kid they have like this little enemy and then the like little dust goes over and the enemy gets huge and it's like oh my god it's like this big scary intimidating thing and it's so hard and then I grew up and played the game and realized it's actually really easy except the last boss still is hard, even as a grown woman. So check that out if you haven't swung back to Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
Bowser Jr. is that's a bitch, so check that out. It's rough. Anyway, so because the whole ground just disappears, it's very
Oh.
challenging. Anyway, but like I wrote about that, and it's kind of a little bit after that, I kind of was just like, huh, what if it might be fun to write about games. So I went to, the classic website that all games journalists have looked at one point, which is gamesjournalismjobs.com or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was like, what's on here? And they had like a volunteer thing writing about mobile games. And I'm like, okay, that seems chill. Like, I think I could do that. That could be fun. So I did that with Game Mob. That was my first time writing. The first game I wrote about was Dashy Panda for iOS. It
Mm.
is a little game where you're a panda and you're getting rice bowls, and
Oh.
it was decent. I'm like, all right, whatever. I never really played mobile games at that point, so it was kind of interesting to check that out because it's not something I was as familiar with. And I did that for like, half a year to a year. Then in that process, I was like, okay, it'd be cool to write for something maybe a little bit bigger. So then I went to Big Cultures. That one was also predominantly unpaid. Like it wasn't like a per article thing, but like you
Yeah.
did get stipends and like you could be like employee of the month or like most posts or most views or just like something and you'd get like, 30 or $50 or something like that. So I wrote with them for about a year. And then I moved off of Game Mob to focus more on Big Cultures. And I was enjoying doing that. And then at that point, I kind of started thinking about, okay, well, maybe this could be my career at some point down the line. I was still very much studying education and doing all
Mm.
that work.
And right now you're in college for education?
Actually, I graduated already. So, and I do
Oh,
teach.
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I do teach. I teach high school English,
That's
and
awesome.
and make content, which is hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was very much still ed focused at that point. But I was like, oh, maybe down the line, like I kind of want to do this. I think so.
Mhm.
Let me start building up, my resume a bit more for game stuff. And I'm like, well, I haven't done YouTube stuff yet. I'd like to do YouTube and do a podcast and stuff. So I asked my friend Jess Reed, in college. She's still my friend. Actually lives in Chicago. She moved here, which has been awesome. And I was like, hey, do you like games? Do you want to do a show with me? I was thinking, and I got the idea from I watched this channel called Rev 3 Games. They're now like no
I
longer putting stuff
love
out.
them so much.
Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't watch a lot of their content, but I did catch they had this show called Coffee
yep.
Break or Coffee Talk, and it was like two people, and it was like 15 minutes, and they drink a cup of coffee and discuss a topic in games. And I thought that was so cool, and I binged that whole series, and then I got to the end, and they're like, "Oh, we're done with the channel," and I'm like, "No, this is great. I love this,"
I know, like
and I'm
I
like,
loved it
"I'm
so
gonna make
much.
it because it's
Yeah,
so good."
Adam Sussler, man, he was my favorite reviewer. Because like you talk about poetry, man, that was poetry to me. Like how articulate he was.
Mhm.
Because when he was on X Play, I don't know if you ever remember that, but like he was goofy, he was wacky, and you don't really get to know him as a person, just as his character. And so seeing that Rev 3 and seeing how articulate he is about video games, it was just like, oh my god, you're amazing. Like he's a big influence for me. That whole channel as well. They
Yeah, I
fantastic.
should hunt those people down and kind of see what they're up to. I'm sure they're still doing stuff, just
Yeah,
not
I
on free.
think Carboni, he's doing Star Wars stuff.
Okay.
For Disney. Um, oh, I think the girl, what was her name? I think it started with a T. She's at Polygon, and Sussler, I think
Cool.
he's doing something. I've hunted them down. Trust me. I was just like, where you guys are. I want to see your content.
Yeah, I gotta do that because yeah, I love that show. I found it so randomly, and I was like, "This
Yeah.
is great." So I showed a few of those videos to my friend Jess, and I was like, "This is what I'm thinking that we do," and we can just literally say like, for the first couple episodes, shout out to Rev 3 Games. Like this is us kind of continuing what they did,
Yeah.
but on our own channel and making that the whole channel. And she's like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." So then we did that first episode, and we did it in the cafeteria-ish area of our college, and
Oh,
it was
that's
very like
awesome.
it was on like I had like my MacBook Pro, and it was like the built-in webcam and the built-in speaker, and it was really janky, and we're like,
Yeah.
what do we do for this? And we're like, I guess we just do this, and then it was like very like unedited and whatever, and it was
Yeah.
it was awesome, and I love doing that. And we at first our thing was going to be going to different coffee shops and doing it, then we realized that was way too freaking hard, so
Yeah.
we just stopped doing that, and it was also loud and bad. But yeah, that was awesome. We did a bunch of stuff. We expanded and did we did a few reviews on that channel. We did
Awesome.
a few like other series. Like I did an unboxing series. She started doing a series that was like nerdy DIY stuff. So she did like a tutorial on how to do like the hair from Breath of the Wild Princess Zelda has,
Oh, that's
and like
awesome.
all this different stuff. And like kind of our we've developed it over a while, and our kind of mission statement sort of became like, content like by women, for women, but not like so for women that it's patronizing and weird. Like it still
Right.
was very much regular, quote unquote, regular content. Like we did E3, we did like, just different debates and topics like
Hmm.
how much is too much for an indie game? Like how do you decide, just random
Yeah.
topics in gaming.
So I
But we
got a
also tried
question
to
there
do.
because you said something real interesting. It's about women. It's for women in gaming. Before we get into that, because I want to dive a little into it. Have you heard of What's Good Games?
I have heard of What's Good Games. Yeah,
They're
they're
fucking
really cool.
fantastic, and I love Andrea
Yeah.
Renee. She's amazing. Um, Being a female in gaming is so difficult. I feel like as a person looking in, because you're to me you're constantly judged, right?
Mhm.
It's like you're either oh God, Jessica Nidri said this so well. It's like you're either the boob cosplayer, right, where you're flaunting it off, or and people ask, "Are you really into games?" type of thing, or you try to be serious like Andrea Renee is, and then you still get the "Are you really a gamer?" type of thing. Like you
Mhm.
can either fall into one of these two territories, and you're constantly either being mocked because you're a lady and you can't like games, or B, constantly questioned about your love
Mhm.
of video games because of your sex. So to me, have you ever run into that? I mean, you do YouTube
Mhm.
content, so I'm sure, but like on a personal level, like I don't know, like
Mhm.
as a female gamer, what do you feel like the industry is headed towards right now? I guess is a
Yeah, I
question.
think overall, like it's heading generally positively. Like we do have obviously improvements in terms of any representation, be it gender, race, sex, sexuality. But of course, there's still a lot of work to do
Yeah.
in just like getting more people that are not like cis straight white men doing content, which you see a lot, especially like in the podcast and YouTube space. Like it's a lot of, and like granted, some of that content's really great, but it's also all just like
A
dudes.
lot of honkies in
Um,
here, as I like
yeah,
to say.
right. It's very white. It's very men. It's very
Yeah.
white. Lots of white men. So yeah, that's basically that's the abridged version in terms of what. So I just think we need more people doing that and more focus on getting more people into that community and making the community more welcoming too.
Mhm.
I think there's always this I'm not gonna sit here and debate the whole like half women are gamers and like, well, according to blue, like I don't care
Yeah.
about what you googled 2 seconds ago. But yeah, generally half of women are gamers, half of like, a good amount of game developers and things are also women as well. So I think the other thing too is like making the space also welcoming for those people to come forward and actually be active in the community,
Yeah.
because I think it's very different from like there's different ways to be in a community. Like if you like games, you're in the gaming community because you're a gamer, maybe you don't
Mhm.
think of yourself in that way, but if you like games to the extent that you kind of keep up with the news, to the extent that we do, maybe a little bit less, but kind of in that vein. um but you might not be active in the community, and active in the community means talking about it on social media, it means being in Facebook groups, it means commenting on YouTube, it means going to conventions, it means being a writer or a content creator or whatever. There's like a lot, going to tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of times we won't see women in these spaces, and then we kind of say, well, like women just aren't interested, or they're not there, or I just don't see as many women, or I don't know as many women in that game. But the reality is more likely that they exist there. They just don't talk about it because it's not welcoming.
It
And
isn't, and like to the point where like to me, like a lot of it's like it's really just like some of it's. I have an experience here. I was playing Fortnite with someone I met online, and he brought one of his lady friends and one of his guy friends. I've never met them before, but the one guy was being super creepy to this girl,
mhm,
and like she's like hi hello, and like I get it if you're a teenager, like oh my god a girl, but like we're grown ass adults, come on.
mhm,
And that's what this guy was like trying to like throw moves on her, but it was like super real creepy towards this
mhm,
girl of like, and then even like being vulgar about it. Like I don't want to like repeat anything what he
right,
said, but like it got to a point where she was so uncomfortable she had to leave, and I was
right.
just like, and I'm gone too. And then like I message her and I'm like, listen, I am so sorry about that guy. I don't know him. He's a dick. And like, I apologize
Mhm.
for the species that I am, because I think gamers, like, we have this culture that is very like tight knit. Like,
Mhm.
we were the outcasts for a very long time. At least if you're 90s, 80s, maybe early 2000s kid, we were the outcasts. Like, I remember in school, I didn't want to admit that I played World of Warcraft because that was super nerdy. But
Mhm.
I like 10 years later, I'm out, and everybody used to play it. They just didn't tell anybody. So like,
Mhm.
to me, we have this community that is just like so ours, and I think as gamers, and it is maybe I'm painting a black and white situation here, but
Mhm.
when we think of females, like, we're only thinking of like, well, those are the people that rejected us in high school. They can't
Mhm.
possibly, but in actuality, no, you gals are gaming just as much as we are. There's just these norms that either some women aren't comfortable talking about because it doesn't fall into what they're supposed to be doing, what society dictates. So like,
Right.
there are so many female gamers that I know today, and that like I feel so bad for, because like, even like one of my friends, like, she's like, I don't get on the mic because I am constantly asked like what my bra size is. It's just like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've never gamed online. Not
Yeah.
for that reason necessarily, but because I'm a Nintendo fan and we can't game online. So I'm like, what is on? Like, I didn't even like go online at all like until like a year or two ago. I was like, what is the internet for games? Like,
Yeah.
this is a thing. I was like, whoa, I'm playing with someone from China. This is insane. Even though it's been like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of ways that that happens, and it can be from, you know, stuff that isn't necessarily like done maliciously, of just even being at an event that's mainly men can be very intimidating, as someone that has been at an event that's mainly men, and it's like, oh, okay, well, shit, like, all right, I'm just me holding it down. Or it's something more overt, which is like the kind of, the fetishizing of like the female gamer, women in games. And
Right.
I've experienced, this is the main thing I've experienced, I think, in the community, because I've had mainly, for the most part, I get mostly positive experiences. The main negativity I get is when I talk about like um issues related to feminism, is when people get angry or annoyed
Yeah,
because
they're
they
like,
feel like
back
I'm,
off, snowflake. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like attacking their game. Like, I had a video that it's my most viewed video, of course, because like the hot takes are always, good. Even though I
Yeah.
didn't do it to make a hot take, I did it because I thought it was important to talk about. I did a video in response to Nathan Grayson's article on compete.kotaku.com, which was, he wrote about what management had to say about why there were no women in Overwatch League. And a lot of their comments were very troubling, because they didn't just say. Now, I think either way, to have no one in Overwatch League is sexist. I think even if they said, "Oh, I don't know, we just picked the best, and the best just happened not to be women," I think
Mhm.
that would actually still be sexist. But putting that aside, that's not what they said. So the like things that they said were things like, "Oh, well, like co-ed housing's kind of complicated, and like, we don't really know if we pick
Oh
a
wait.
woman, people are going
Yeah.
to think we did it just to be like social justice-y, so we don't want them judging
I
our
fucking
team.
hate that
We're
comment
just
so
different."
much.
Yeah, so they had like a lot of reasons that weren't based on skill. So
Yeah.
I was like, well, kind of breaking down what they said, like, here's why this is an issue and blah blah. And I kind of just talk about like, and I kind of just present the question to my audience of like, um, how do we feel about this, and what should be our move as a community? Like, should we like not support the league? Should we still support the league but push for change? What does pushing for change actually mean?
Yeah.
Um, should we have like diversity quotas at this point? Is that not the right way to go about it? Like, I just kind of posed a couple of different questions.
And
Um,
bam, were you attacked?
it wasn't actually as bad as you might think it might
Okay,
be.
good.
The worst experience I had online was when I talked about I got like caught by like the MRA side of Twitter.
I love
Um,
those
like
guys.
literally like, but like the
Yeah.
real gauntlet of it. So I was getting harassed for like a day or two. I had like so many people in my mentions. I had to block so many people. Like, I had so many
It's
like high
disgusting.
end like, what was it? What is the word for it when they like take all your stuff and ruin your life? What's the word for that on the internet?
Oh
What
God,
is
I
that called? Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot. What is it called? Doxing? Yeah, I had like the
Dox
dox accounts.
Really?
No one doxed me, but I did have
Okay,
like
good.
accounts that do that. Like, I had them like putting me on blast and saying like, let's, like,
Let's get her.
yeah, let's like, let's ruin this woman's life. So,
Yeah.
and
Which
that
is
was because I
ridiculous. If you're that offended over someone else's thought, please just go outside, find the nearest
yeah,
cliff,
so that
and
was the
then just
craziest thing
run.
I experienced. But the Overwatch thing didn't go horribly. And for me on my YouTube channel, I only delete comments that are like
Obscene.
literally hateful or like
Same.
super creepy or
Same.
like so ignorant that it's just like no, which is actually for me personally has been like on the lower end, thankfully.
Good.
So
Yeah.
I'll leave stuff up that is I still disagree with or I think is problematic, but as
Yeah.
long as you're not being like offensive, I
You
like
keep it
inherently
there.
like troublingly offensive, I'll leave it up and I'll talk to
Yeah.
you and respond.
To
Um,
me, I do the same thing with Bad Big Games. Like I've mentioned both these videos before about Labo video. Like you get people calling me fat, and I'm like, what I am, and the only comment I've ever blocked was like, you could call me any name. Like I don't give a shit. Like, do you not think like to me? I'm like, are you that dumb that you think I've never known about my weight? What like come on now, like we come on. And so to me, I'm just like, the ones that get me are like, I made an Overwatch video ironically enough
mhm,
about Tracer being a lesbian, and
mhm,
and how like cool whatever, because like to me, I'm the type of guy like, hey, you make Tracer lesbian, that's awesome, and there's context for it, cool. I'm not like, I don't like the idea of like throwing in LGBTQ or like, like black characters or Asian characters because you have to. They should make sense. They should have a personality, because if you're just doing it to fill a quota, are you really helping the cause, right?
mhm,
And so for me, I was just like, it's cool that Tracy's a lesbian. It doesn't bother me. What's I find really cool is that like I have transgender friends. I have friends who are gay, and they have now someone to look up to. And if there's a
mhm.
gay kid out there who needs a hero, so be it. Like, I'll be real with you. I'm Hispanic. I've never realized how Hispanic I was
Mhm.
until until a few years ago. Like I always just kind of thought myself as, oh, I'm white.
Mhm.
And no, no, Joseph, you're not. Because I had all these heroes to look up to. So like, to me, I'm like, yeah, no, let's put like Aloy is my favorite character this generation, because she's a strong female, but she could have been a strong male, a strong black guy, a strong Asian chick. It doesn't matter, because her character's so great, and
Mhm.
like that's what makes it special. And one person wrote like how like being gay is like a mental illness, and I was just like, and you, sir, find that cliff and just run as fast as you possibly can, because like to me, I'm like, wow, I'm not even gay, and that I am offended. Like that is
Yeah, for
disgusting that
sure.
there's people that think like that. So like, with that said, being attacked by these people, is it vindicating in a sense that, oh wow, I'm being mentioned, or like I am maybe affecting this change out here, because
Mhm.
a lot of people don't realize when you put something out there, when you go, when you try to condemn something vocally and you call
Mhm.
them out by name, it actually amplifies their message more. So, do you
Mhm.
find that you were able to amplify that message, or did it like dishearten you in a sense?
It was a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously comments are good for SEO, so sure, like hit me up. Though I'm actually a lot more like aggressive with like my comment deletion. Like if someone said anything about my if it's not about the content I'm making, like delete, don't care. Even if it was even to an extent, I kind of follow Alana Pierce's thing for this with via IGN where she mentions now I don't get a lot of this necessarily, but she's like if someone's too often just commenting on literally my appearance and not on the content of my video, even if it's positive, I'll delete it also because it's not like what I'm here to produce and I don't want it to seem like it is what I'm here to produce. So I kind of actually like she has a great video on like what comments I delete and who I block
Yeah,
and why. And I like think I create a lot of my philosophies on my content based on that. So definitely worth checking out if you make content or if
she's
you
fantastic
just do
too.
YouTube stuff. Yeah, like that's a
Yeah.
great video to watch. But back to your point, it's disheartening in that so many people have ignorant perspectives. Like that's upsetting, and that so many people like say that things aren't a problem or that things aren't true when like I know that they are, and that's very frustrating. I mean, that's true whether or not I post a video on YouTube or not.
Yeah.
So, but like to be like reminded of it doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
But but yeah, but I don't know. I think you also get not used to it, but it's kind of just like
Numb to it,
part of
maybe.
the it's just like part of the terrain, and like when you're
Yeah.
gonna put out things like that, like you are gonna get people upset because people don't like that stuff, especially in the game space. They hate stuff that's like if you take a sociological lens to anything, people get annoyed.
Yeah.
And it's, especially if you take like one that's of like negative criticism, people get defensive because they're like, oh, I if if what you're saying is true, like you're saying I'm sexist and I don't like being called sexist, and I'm like, well, but I don't like that you're being sexist. So like, why don't we just fix that?
It's like with
But
Anita
people don't like that. They feel
Sarkeesian.
called out. They're like, yeah,
Like their essays. Like my one
exactly.
friend's like, I don't understand all this hate on this Anita video. If you disagree with her, just make a different essay. You don't have to attack her because she's a female.
Oh, I have this great one of my favorite articles that I ever wrote, and I feel like you can Google it pretty easily if you just type in like big cultures, Janet Garcia, and maybe God, what was the name of the article? It might have been like fake gamer guys, or it's how you can tell if you're God, it was like how you can tell if your boyfriend is like a fake gamer guy or an aggressive gamer guy. No, not
Okay.
what was it? It was like a I forgot what it was. I'm gonna have to look it up while we're talking. But I wrote this article that was kind of a spoof on um, articles that were really popular in the internet a few years ago, which is like how to tell your girlfriend's a fake gamer girl. So I took one of those articles and I made like a parody of it via like thinking of like, oh, how to tell if your boyfriend is a like meninist gamer boy or something like that. And it had, and like on that list, one of the things I mentioned was like he constantly mentions Anita Sarkeesian. Like that's just like the classic thing that, oh yeah, 10 signs he's a meninist gamer boy was the name of the article.
Okay.
And it was like, yeah, he searches gamer girl on social media to troll on women for being attention seeking as he eagerly waits for responses. Two was he judges, and some of it was like, obviously I don't actually believe this, but it's kind of funny. He judges girls who love Splatoon, which he claims is just a watered down third person shooter and multiplayer online battle arena game, but will play Rocket League instead of FIFA or Forza Horizon. If she doesn't play FPSs, he'll cite her shortcomings as proof that she's not a hardcore gamer, but you can't beat Super Meat Boy even with a controller. And constantly mentions Anita Sarkeesian. When reminded that half of all gamers are women, he asks how many of those are just mobile games, though. Six, he hits on female streamers and gamers, but claims he's totally joking.
So I got a question for you then.
Yeah, I got a bunch of other ones like that, but yeah, it's my favorite.
Again, like that's fantastic because like that like there are so many guys I know just play Call of Duty, and so at the same exact time,
Which
if
is
you're gonna,
also fine, but
it's
it's like
totally
you can't.
fine.
Like,
But
it's like
like
you're coming at people, but like, have you looked at your own games? Because like you're not really that intense either. Like,
yeah, like and to me, like the mission of Badbit is to be critical, but then also like let people in. Let's have a dialogue, and as long as you're trying to be constructive, throw all the criticism you want, and my whole thing is about like welcoming people. That's all it is. We have to be, as gamers, we're so super defensive, and I understand why, but to a militant extent, it seems sometimes. So like for to you as again a female gamer, I didn't know if you knew this, but how when it comes to like dating, when it comes to like meeting new people, because you do play games, when that's brought up, does that change the conversation of like, is he trying to test you like, oh really, now do you what's your KD, that
yeah,
type of stuff.
it's weird. So it doesn't come up a lot. I haven't like done a whole lot of dating since college, so I'm kind of new to like the dating space and figuring out how that works. I will say I feel like being a video game content creator in the dating space, especially if you're doing online dating, is like the most awkward profession because it just feels weird because people will be like, I guess people try to connect with me on that too much, and I would feel weird about that no matter what hobby it was. So even
Yeah.
if it was me being into The Office or me being into Stranger Things, like, oh, you're into Stranger Things, like who's your favorite character? Like, it just, even though that's not being quizzy, it just feels
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah.
Like I had, I'll have guys be like, oh, can I like read some of your article? Like I don't want to talk about this. Like I just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel towards that. I haven't gotten anyone be too like weird about it in terms of actually dating me or trying to date me or just talking to me. I think the weirdest thing I got was like, and the more thing I get is like, oh, you read about games? Like that's so fun and so cool. And I'm like, it's actually just a lot of work and it's like a regular hustle.
Yeah.
Like I do love it and I'm okay talking about it, but also like I think people think of it as like, oh, you're I don't know, the candy taster at the Willy Wonka factory. That's great. Like it's not this,
It's not the same. Right.
It's like so that's a little weird, but I don't have anything too strange on that end.
Oh, my one friend, she gets the winners as we describe them. There was
See, I get more from like rando guy, like not guys
Yeah.
trying to date me, but like I've had multiple. I feel like I've had multiple people like like hit on me via like the NVC podcast Facebook group, like
boy,
they'll
I'm so
message
sorry.
me like being totally normal, like, hey, what's your favorite game ever? What consoles do you play or whatever? And I'll like respond. It's like a private message.
Yeah.
And then a few like messages later, they're like, oh, like, you're like really cute, or just something that's like weird and flirty, or just
Yeah.
like strange. Like, I'm
I
like,
winced
okay,
a
so,
little
and then it
bit
makes
at
it
that.
feel like, I'm like, so you didn't really come to talk to me about games. You just
Right.
came to like hit on me, which is a
Yeah.
different thing. Like, why are these two things combined? Like,
Yeah.
this isn't, and it's like, and it's weird because I'm like, it's just weird on so many levels. I'm like, you're not going to meet me in real life. We don't live in the same city. Like, why are you like trying to form this weird pseudo online girlfriend thing? Like, just because we're in some
Just
Facebook
because we
group,
have one hobby.
so we both like Nintendo
Yeah.
games. Like, why are you trying to springboard this into a full-on conversation? I always post those things on Twitter too. Like, I'll post screenshots and block out the names. But I have this one guy that's like messaged me like so many times. Like, I just stopped responding to him, and he's like still messaging me like months apart. And like, I don't know, people
Yeah,
just,
it's weird.
it's like a weird combination of like a little bit of sexism, but also just a little bit of like not, dating's hard, and like people don't like get what's appropriate and what what like what's socially appropriate. Like, flirting needs to be, if flirting is not a two-way street, it just becomes harassment,
Right.
which a lot of guys don't get, and then get angry about. They're like, what, I just want to meet people. It's like, that's fine, but like, if I'm not talking back to you and I said like I don't, you're like making me uncomfortable, and also this isn't it's not a context that I could like leave from easily, so it's just awkward and strange.
Thankfully, that's
Yeah.
never happened to me in terms of like I'm a
Right, and that's the
super
thing, like, women
anxious.
don't go like messaging guys like, oh my god, you
Yeah.
play Splatoon? That's
Right.
so cool.
Like we
Let's
like
hook up. Like,
like,
what? No,
I-
go away.
I can't do online dating anymore
Mhm.
because like the one thing I see as a guy, like, real talk for a second, is when it comes to like a woman's profile, it seems like kind of like, to me, the Da Vinci Code, because they're like, don't just say sup, don't just say hi, say something interesting. Also, don't just show me a random dick pic. Don't say just like something totally obtuse. And I'm like, okay, so what am I like? How I always start conversations is,
Mhm.
oh, hello. Like,
Yeah, I
that's how
mean,
I start. So I'm like,
dating's
there's
hard. Fine.
yeah. No, it is, and like when I hear most of my friends are female in real life, and so when I hear like all these weirdos and creeps, I'm just like, I get it. Like, I get why women are so like, I haven't been able to crack that code, because all I say is, hello, what's up? Like, I like that you like this. That is cool. Like, where do I go
Yeah.
from here? Like, I can't do online dating. So like my one friend, like, she got it had to be a joke, because this one guy, he predicted that they would fall in love, that they would get married, they would have 3 kids, a Subaru, that he would die in an accident. Like, it was nuts. My one friend, she, every time we meet, she has a new story, and it's so sad. Like, I
That's
do
rough.
I
That's
I
rough.
do like as a guy, I'm like, yeah, no, like, ladies have it rough, because you never hear from one of your guy friends going, oh man, this other chick just sent me a picture of her vagina. Like, you never hear that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
always,
just crazy.
it's, come on, guys, we
Yeah, or
gotta
people try to
be.
use it too much as kind of, to bring it back to like the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
People just try to use it a little bit too much as a springboard. Sometimes, once again, it's not always malicious, but like, it's just, I don't know. It's not every. I love being a gamer, and I'm very much a gamer, and it is a core part of my identity, but it also isn't like my whole self. And I think so many gamers, we like try to frame our life as if it is our whole self in a way that becomes problematic. Like, and that's why the whole like, oh, like, how do I get my girlfriend? Like, if I see one more thing on how to get my girlfriend into like in games, like,
Just
leave her
don't.
alone. Let
Yeah.
her like anything else. If she
Yeah.
wants to play Mario Kart with you, that's cool and chill. But
She
like,
doesn't have to. Like, the one thing that I
yeah,
feel like my ideal lady friend, on an emotional and romantic level, would be like, just someone that gets it. Right? That's
yeah,
all
like, as
I
long as they're
need.
not weird, I mean, and this is honestly pretty weird. Like, when I like talk to people that aren't gamers, I'm kind of like, yeah, I like kind of, I play games. I kind of play I'm kind of like, it's like a little weird to have like all these,
Yeah.
plushies everywhere. But I mean, it's fine. I'm not pushing it on people. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking at a room full of Funko Pops.
Yeah, like, it's
So,
weird, I'm like, because everyone else is like, non-gamers are like totally normal and they don't have those weird like obsessions. So it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't, and I've dated both non-gamers and gamers. I probably dated more non-gamers than gamers, to be honest.
mhm.
Like, usually anyone I date, probably has played a game before, right?
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, they'll probably play Mario Kart if you like offer. They maybe play Just Dance in college, but they're not like I. I've only dated maybe like one or two, like maybe just like one like hard, like actual gamer where it's like, oh, they're regularly in the new, like they're on
Yeah.
E3 and
Yeah.
stuff. Everyone else is like, yeah, I got an Xbox. Like it's kind of like it's
Yeah.
not really a big deal.
It's something that it's to me it's like it's a bonus, right? It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like something very casual
she
that they
gets it.
do.
That's awesome. And like the one, like, that, and that's cool. But like to you know maybe like if Joseph was teenage Joe and didn't understand women, like, yeah, I gotta date someone else. But like I've grown past that. So like when there is like someone that like is interested in me and I don't know why, but I just let them in. I just go like, so this is what I do. This is something really nerdy, and I understand. You cool with this? Okay, cool. And I'm not gonna be here trying to show you and teach you everything there is to know about video games or even remote. If you have interest, cool beans. But this is the realm. Like this is like you like books, I like video games, and that's they're
It's
two
like, yeah, what if I
totally
told you can still eat sushi with someone? It's not that hard. Like you
exactly
don't need
like
to.
we
You
could
don't.
talk
You don't
about
need.
something that isn't gaming all the time. We could talk about how much I hate Donald Trump. Like we can do things differently.
there's plenty of conversations to be had.
Exactly. So
But yeah, and that and that stuff also obviously has layers of stuff like kind of bringing it back to like women in games. It's like
yeah.
there's just not a lot of yeah, there's a lot of dismissiveness. Either you're like not skilled enough, or you might not really be into it, or that like treating people as if they're like super rare. I actually had this conversation at the start of, once again, I teach high school English and I work at a high school. It also has a middle school attached to it as well, like middle school grades.
Mhm.
And I run a like video game / nerd colloquium thing on,
that's awesome.
they have like a seminar day and I have a seminar that's like all about games and comics and stuff. Mainly games, but every now and then I'm like, let's read comics because I want stuff for kids that maybe aren't as into games. And we have very, very few women in the class. Like it's a class of like 29 kids and there's like 4 women.
Mhm.
And then myself, so I'm 5. Like, I'm not
There
really.
you go. We
but
got
I
get
don't
those
really count
numbers
for
up,
that,
ladies.
but I'm
Yeah.
like, look, that's 5 right there. Like, which, that I wish there were more. And that's kind of, down the line, I would want to figure out like how to mandate it to be more even. But anyway, so that's it. And like one thing I mentioned at the beginning when I was going over like the rules and stuff and like all of that, and we did intros, I was like, oh, like let's not be like problematic. So here are some things that we're not going to say. Here's what we're not going to say here, and it's stuff like it's like, kind of some certain gamer speak that's actually kind of toxic. Like none of my kids make the like, oh, like I just got raped thing, but like that would be something I would discuss if I noticed they were saying that, because even though they don't mean it to be malicious, it actually is really messed up when you break it down. So like teaching them that, because they probably don't know and don't think about it,
Which is
'cause
so
they're
awesome
kids.
because like I didn't learn any of that, and that is
Yeah, like,
something I
and
like. I'll
especially
be
because
real
they're
with
so
you.
impressionable. They hear other gamers say it. They are like, what? It's like how you talk. I'm like, yeah, but how they talk is still fucked up. They're just old and they're still fucked up. Like,
Yeah, and they're coming from an era that we're supposed to be better than the next generation, and so like some like like I used to say that all the time. Like,
yeah,
dude,
and
like
pro Smash players say that all the time. Like, if you watch the Smash documentary, they're like, oh, what? It's how like they're like, it's fine. It's like, no, it's not
no,
fine.
it's not fine though. It's not
Yeah,
fine when
so
you meet people that that's happened to. It's not fine, and that's the thing that like to me like I like when those slip out. It's kind of like like I have 2 different type of Joes, right? I'm kind of like Bruce Banner. There is the MAGA Joe, the Make America Great Again Joe, that I try to beat down on a constant level. I'm trying to not let that other guy show. So like sometimes in a online I'll slip that phrase or I'll slip something else that's just horrible, and then immediately afterwards I'll be like, what have I done? It's like no, like it's immediately step back, and like I play video games alone, and I consciously say, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like there's nobody else here, but I'm like, I should
right.
not, like there has to be that conscious level of like, no, what you're saying isn't right, let's try to fix it. And I really like that.
And a big part of that was, that conversation was like, sexism, and if I framed it as just straight up sexism, I think I kind of framed it as like not being inclusive in general. And there's a couple things that go into that with gamers in general. I'm like, if someone's new to a game, like we're gonna be nice about it. We're gonna like give them time to figure it out. if we're playing a game, we should look around the room and ask, like, does anyone else want to play? Because maybe they're watching and are too shy to ask or
Yeah.
whatever. And then there's also like, as far as the sexism in general, I'm like, there's a lot of ways this comes up, and now I'm just gonna explain a couple. And I had like some slides, and I was like, you know, questioning whether or not a person's really into the thing they say they're into. Um, and it's funny because like in the room I had one female student that was, and I think the guy probably said it as a joke, right? It's always a joke, but she like turned to him and was like, kind of like, see, like, because he just did that with her, like she plays like Grand Theft Auto and a
Yeah.
couple horror games, and he was like, man, do you really play GTA though? Like, are you actually, can you really like
You hold
hang or
your
whatever?
own, yeah.
So then she like flipped it back on him when I said that, because like, calling him out, which was awesome, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned a couple other things too, like, I'm like, expecting girls to suck at games, or when they do suck, saying that it's not a surprise, like, or being surprised when they don't suck, or not being surprised when they do suck, like both are offensive. And then I mentioned a couple other things too, and it's funny because I was like, okay, does anyone have any questions? I'm like, I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on this as a teacher, but I'm going to be real, like, I'm not always going to be around, because I'm like, sometimes just grading stuff, or sometimes I'm just like working with other kids. So I'm like, if this happens, like, let me know, call it out, like hold each other accountable. Like, we need to be like not garbage people. Like, don't be garbage, and then we're good. Like, don't be garbage.
I think he said something really great. Is like, it's just a joke, or like the PC like shit that I hear constantly. It's just like sometimes like I love dark humor. I'm very much into like, let's push the line. But there's like some comedians do it great. So like people like Dave Chappelle, like he's an idol. He is to me the best at it. And I'm like, yeah. But understand that when a joke falls flat, that's on you. It's not on the audience that didn't understand the joke. You didn't. You gotta know where you're coming from. So like for me, it's like I said a joke once and it came off offensive, and instead of going, dude, just take it easy, it's just a joke, own it and apologize, move on. And there's so much of like so much of that like defensive-ness of like people are too PC. It's like no. You're being an asshole. So just don't be an asshole. Like don't say the N-word. How about that? Like it's an evil word that when people used it, people, that was a term used for people viewing other people as cattle and as products. And so how about we stop using that? Like,
Right.
great.
And I think too, one interesting thing with that, because I asked my kids, like, do you have any questions? And one of my students was like, yeah, like to your last point, like, I would never say that kind of stuff to other people, like to women, but I do make those jokes with my sister, but like she's cool with it and it's just a joke. And I think on that level too, like the thing is like, oh, she says she's cool with it, but like, is she cool with it?
Though? Yeah.
Also, like, and she might not be offended by it, but it's still offensive. Like, that's the other thing too. Like, well, I guess for me, I would get offended if people like kind of spoke to me that way. But maybe like, yeah, she's grown up around it and can tolerate it, and knows that it's not personal, and knows that you're just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
But like that joke is like so unoriginal and old. It's like right up there with the oh, make me a sandwich or whatever. It's like, it's not funny because it's like, one, it's been said a million times. Two, it's just offensive. Like, you're just trying, like, it's the reason it's funny is because like it's like what the joke is like, LOL, like women's place is like to be subservient. Isn't that hilarious? It's like, no, it's not hilarious, and we've heard it a million times, and it's not funny.
And then like like people don't understand like the art of crafting a joke. Like my dad says to me all the time, "Be a stand-up comedian. You're fucking hilarious." I'm like, I don't do that because like I'm not a Bill Burr, I'm not a Dave Chappelle. Because what they do is like they could say something ignorant, but the joke is I'm dumb. Like that is the joke is that they're behind the curve, right? And there's such a fine tune that you have to play to that nobody else can really do. It's so carefully crafted. So like, no, like just don't do it. Like don't. And when it falls short, or like think about the other person. Like I don't get offended at anything. I really don't. You could say the meanest shit about me. I don't really care. I've said it to myself. But like to me, it's that part of, okay, but I'm not that person. I don't know where where they've gone and where they've been, and I gotta be respectful to that. Like like there's like I had like this one argument of about like why you shouldn't say the N word, and one guy's like, well, you know, like the black community says it all the time. I'm like, no, like the stereotypical bullshit you see, yeah, like and even at that point, they shouldn't be saying it either. And I think we're coming as a culture, like we're seeing like awesome like rappers and like TV and all these awesome creative like African American or Hispanic people saying like, no guys, if we don't want white people to say it, we also have to stop saying it. And that's why like I like movies like Black Panther are awesome. They're so great because it's just like, yeah, we can move past and have a really awesome dialogue about
Hmm.
what it means to be who we are. and
Hmm.
and and like I mention all the time, love Force Awakens because I see like little black kids running around with a fin jacket. Isn't that beautiful that like they're having that same connection with something you had? Isn't that awesome?
Right.
It's uh,
Um.
I just so you know,
So
Jana,
yeah.
I go on rants.
Yeah.
Just punch me in the face.
For
um,
no, you're good. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of it for like what that side of stuff looks like and has
yeah,
always looked like. And yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's crazy to see like how early that stuff forms as well. And and that's one thing I like. That's one reason I like working with young people, and I really love being. Obviously, I love being who I am on a lot of levels, like,
yeah,
my gender, my race, all of that stuff are things I'm very, proud of and that I infuse into my content whenever I can and when it makes sense. And that's something I really like about being, in the space that I'm in because, like, well, most spaces aren't going to have like a lot of Hispanic women, like just generally.
right.
But like it's really cool because I'm like, hey, maybe I'm, one of the few, like the fact that I'm involved in like gaming stuff at my school, I'm like a visible woman that's doing this and I'm like doing it and I'm owning it and I'm in this space and
That's
I'm calling
awesome.
stuff out and I'm doing that work and I like being that for my students so that they like can see that as being normal because
Mm,
there's not a lot of us that are always visible for a lot of reasons and I'm not like judging women that aren't doing that because I understand
I
it because I've
understand
been
too. Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But like I love being able to be in that space and be that for someone hopefully. So
That's awesome.
so yeah, that's like also something that I really, and that's something I really liked, to swing it back to my original channel bit a bit. That's what I thought was super cool about it, and I really loved doing that partnership,
Yeah.
which we just kind of ended because she had other things she kind of wanted to work on, and I was always the one that was like more hardcore into the journalism aspect of it, so I kept
I
going
totally get that too.
with my
That
individual stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
but it was really fun while it lasted. It was always consistent, and I loved doing that because it was like, I never before What's Good Games, like there wasn't a show of that I knew of that had all women. I'm sure there are ones that exist, but they're
Hmm.
harder to find because they're not as popular, or you don't hear about them as much, or they're not as like in your face as opposed to it's so easy to find one with all men.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the ones with all women are really rare. So it was really fun to be that for people like in the YouTube content creation
Yeah.
space.
And the
So
one
yeah,
thing I
looking forward
really
to
like about too, like what's good games and what they have too is there's not like there are not many. I haven't seen it personally of like people going, oh, isn't Andrea Renee pretty, or like isn't like Brit pretty, and all this stuff of like, or like the really weird comments of like wondering if they're single. It's like, dude, do you think you have a chance? Because I'm gonna hear it to ruin your dreams for a second. Like it's really awesome that like there's so many people again from what I've seen of like I go like I love Andrea Renee and she is to me a fucking awesome role model because she is like she is a female who plays games, she knows her shit, and it's awesome to see because there's not a lot of women out there, not because there's not a lot of women out there, but because for so long the culture was perceived as only one thing, and I love
hmm
seeing like people of color, women, females, non-gender conforming, whatever have you, entering the space
hmm
and saying, "No, we exist here too." And like what I always like to say is like we're always in a fight for gaming soul
hmm
and what it means and like what it's about. To me, gaming is about being together. No
hmm
matter the political affiliation or sexual affiliation, whatever the case may be, it's about being together. Because, yeah, as I see it, we were outcasts for so long, and we shouldn't outcast each other. That
hmm
doesn't make any sense. Let's talk at least. Let's have a dialogue, And so, with that said, how does your, and this will be the last question, I swear.
Hmm.
How does your channel come to be after your partner leaves? Because that's happened to
Hmm.
me twice. Like I once did one with my brother, and he was annoying me, so we ended it. And because he's not a gamer, and it was cute in the beginning, but I was like, Dan, just say something nice. And like I had one with my friend Ren, and life got in the way, and so how, how did you pick up the pieces? What made you go, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, well, I knew I loved YouTube, and then I wanted to keep working on it because yeah, I still wanted to build that part of my portfolio. So I'm like, well, now YouTube's gone. I got to make it myself.
Yeah,
So there were a lot of directions I could go. I mean, she definitely was cool with me taking the name and continuing the channel. I got her green light to pick up a few series that we started or ideas that we had together that she said it was
that's
cool if I
awesome.
ran with those. And we're still very much friends and we hang out all the time. We just don't do YouTube together
Yeah,
anymore, which is also kind of like, like it's kind of nice to be done with one project just so you can open up to stuff that you haven't been attending to.
yeah,
So for me, I was like, okay, well, I want my own YouTube channel. What is my new vision? Because I had the old vision down packed. Um, and basically, I kind of wanted it to be whatever I was into, which is very vague. So I tried to like,
that's
okay, how
same
can I
here.
sell that to people? Because
Yeah,
it's not like, it's like, oh, it's just what I want. It's like, well, why does anyone else want to watch it? So exactly. So you got to like think about, okay, what are you really doing? And kind of what I'm looking at is still kind of the same thing. It's like a breadth of different content that relates to gaming and like what does it mean to be a gamer for me and what is my gaming journey and what is my perspective on the industry and what's going on like for myself as like a content creator as
hmm,
well. So far I've only executed on a few of those ideas right now, but the kind of running theme is that, it's all the stuff that I'm most passionate about kind of rolled into one thing. So it's
right,
like it'll be reviews, it'll be, looking at different cases, it'll be looking at what am I playing right now, looking at like merch I've picked up, and just kind of a wide variety of stuff is kind of what I decided that it was going to be. So reflecting what I'm most passionate about when it comes to gaming. So it'll
hmm,
be, vlogs, first impressions, all of that stuff. And those are things I've done so far. So I've done a bunch of different content already. I started it in 2018. I had done YouTube on my own personal channel before, but it was very like kind of random. So I
yeah,
did like years ago I did like a few unboxings of Arcade Block. I did like a few Let's Plays and posted those up. So then when I resurrected it, I'm like, okay, well, what do I want to do this time around? So yeah, I've just been doing whatever kind of comes to mind
that's
and just
awesome.
doing like a free range of stuff. I know I want to do like small content in terms of length because before I was doing like 30+ minute podcasts, which it's very hard to get less than 30 minutes when you have like two people.
Yeah,
So it's been easier to just do shorter form content. So I've done a bunch of different stuff that relates to like what is going on in my gaming life. So I had like Black Friday pickups. I had like how to manage your backlog and just talked about how do I do it and then what tools do I use. So I did a breakdown of what Groovy is, which is a really cool website. If people don't know it,
hmm.
check it out. Um, I did like, okay, here are the 18 games I beat in 2017, and let me tell you all about
Oh,
them.
that's
I did,
awesome.
yeah, every year I have a goal to beat more games. Because as a kid I didn't really actually beat that many games, and actually even as an adult, I'm
Yeah, no,
like once I
still,
started deciding that I was gonna go into games journalism, I'm like, okay, I should probably play some games because I don't really play that much. Like I
yeah,
love video games, but I don't finish things. I need to
yeah.
finish things. So I did 17 in
That's a
2016.
problem we all have. Trust me, I'm right in the
Exactly.
same boat.
But I'm like,
Yeah,
I need to like, I just need to get more on it and like have more things to say.
yeah.
Yeah. And then one cool thing too, I wanted to do this back when I did bit, but we didn't end up kind of reaching that point. But I always wanted to do a Patreon for my content. So I do have a Patreon for my content. It's patreon.com/Gameonysus. And all of this is on a pin tweet on my Twitter.
Oh, awesome.
And that's been really, really fun. And, in my opinion, pretty successful so far.
Yeah, man,
So
I saw him. Like, congratulations. Holy crap,
thanks.
that's really awesome. And
Jordan, if you haven't already, it's like
yeah,
the tiers are actually really fun, and I really like what I've created so far. So I do like, of course, the classic $1 early access. For $2, I do a retrospective exclusive video where I look into a game from not this gen, like anything older, and I
yeah.
just say like, hey, here's like the ones I most recently did. I did one on the Yoshi game, the Yoshi puzzle game that a lot of people don't really maybe know about as much as the Game Boy one. It's like
Mm,
Tetris, but with Yoshi, basically.
I like it.
I did one on Blur, which was like this kind of like weird arcadey, yeah,
Hmm.
right, Blur for PS3,
Yeah,
360, all that. It was
yeah.
awesome, and I'm like, why is no one talking about this game? It's great. $3, you can get monthly access to a video game related haiku or limerick that I will write on
that's cool.
anything. If you give me a topic, I will write you a piece on it. I just have, and if not, I'll think of something on my own. For $5, I do snail mail, which has been my most popular tier. I have 8 people on that one. And you'll get a letter from somewhere in the video game world from me. So like the first one I did, I have to do Marches still. I'm a little bit behind on my weeks. But the first one I did was I wrote from Celeste Mountain because that's the game I was playing. So I talked about like,
How
oh man,
great
it's
is
really
that
cold.
game?
Like I'm having a rough time over here. I don't know if I can do it. And, I'm stressed out. And I just kind of, and I'm very much that character anyway. So I was
Same
like
here.
about it.
I want to
Yeah.
just say one thing about Celeste. That how many times did you cry? Did you cry?
I didn't cry, but I felt everything in that
Yeah.
game. And that game was so me because I'm like an anxious, semi-depressed person. Like I do struggle with like mental health stuff. So it was so, and I'm also very determined and very goal-oriented, which anyone who knows me knows just based on what I am doing. Like, hello. So I felt so much, and I love like, and I love hard platformer, like hard tight knit platformers, like
Yeah.
Meat Boy and all of that. So that game was like made for me, and it's like I think that's the first game I beat this year, for my goal to beat 19 games in 2018.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes. It's been hard. It's hard.
I
Some
haven't
games are
beaten
really
it yet. To me,
quick.
I gotta. To me, it's all about.
The journey.
It's not so much challenge. It's like it's so good. I just want to savor it. And like the part that got me was early on, where like you're calling your mom from like a payphone,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Did you have another panic attack?" And I'm just like, "Yep, this is me. This is me.
Yeah, this is
This
or
is
like it's so many things like when you call you have like so many weird dreams and stuff, and this is what I wrote about in the letter too. I'm like I'm having I feel like I'm in a dream, blah blah, and I talk about like one of my favorite parts in that game early on is when you see like the boxes of stars basically, like that it's like gel that you can fly through. It's crazy. I love that game. It's so beautiful. So $5, you get a letter. It's awesome.
There you go.
It's handwritten. I mean, I do scan, obviously, and make copies and then put people's names on them, but like it's originally handwritten. It's pretty cool. And then for $10 or more, you can choose a game I play for a $5 holler like preview thing. I have 2 people at that tier, but I haven't gotten them to pick a game yet, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. Less work for me. So that's been cool. And I'm at $78 a month right now. And
That's
once I reach
awesome.
100, I double my content. So I'll go from 2 videos to 4 videos, and I'm really, really, really excited to do that. And I really want that to happen soon. So we'll see. It's a semi-slow process, but it's going. And YouTube's going pretty well too. So it's just been fun developing community and seeing people that are, genuinely interested in the things I'm putting out there, and just being able to create like a wide breadth of content that fully reflects what I'm the most interested in. Like I did love my, partner projects are great and I love collaborating with people, but it is nice to have something that is like completely my own and also just feels so like this is probably the only thing I create right now, like long term, that is just for me, by me, just cause like, I mean, it is to build my resume, and ultimately like further my career, but like, I don't answer to anyone at all. I mean, I answer to my patrons in terms of like producing the content that I promised people that I would make, but what that is so different. Like I did a Brawler 64 unboxing, like had my brother on there for that. That one was really popular.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah,
I have
it was
a
fun
question
having
for you.
So yeah.
I forgot to mention this. This one's a yes and no question because they're actually 2. As a teacher, Fortnite is it in getting in the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate it for that reason. Yes, I haven't played it yet. I do want to play PUBG/Fortnite to understand what games are because I'm a gamer and a games journalist, and I need to know what these games are. But my bias is that I hate it. I'm looking forward to playing these games so I can give you guys my thoughts on YouTube on whether or not I hate or not hate them. But yeah, as a teacher, hate them. Can't stand it.
Oh wow, it's already that
I'm gonna
big.
destroy my students. Yeah, I have a couple. Not all of them. A few that play in class, and it drives me up the walls. I'm gonna drop their phone in battery acid. And I'm gonna throw it back at their face. I will. I will. I promise.
And my last thing, and then I'll send you off. I swear.
You're totally good.
You wrote for Kotaku? How did this
I did
happen?
write for Kotaku.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it was great. It was a nice. I was talking to Sean about this yesterday when I was recording for his podcast, and I was talking about one of my favorite things about being in games media. And I've only been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. In terms, definitely like maybe like 2 years super seriously and 3 years overall.
Yeah.
And there's so many like little celebratory moments that I like latch onto so heavily. Like I would do this no matter what. Like, and I'm not super crazy successful or popular yet, but there's so many little things. Like when I first got my first review code, when I got my first like game before embargo, like there's so many little things that I love about this space. And that was definitely one of the big ones. So being able to finally be published on a quote unquote major gaming site, just kind of one of the bigger ones that are out there. Basically, I had done a couple of pitches to larger sites, like Kotaku, Waypoint, maybe a few other ones. And there's a few on my list I haven't gotten around to. But I don't get to pitch as often as I'd like to because I'm kind of just a little bit preoccupied with other stuff going on, just like other content. Yeah. But I did a couple of pitches to Kotaku. None of those had gone through. But then I just pitched the FIFA one, and that one just did go through. Basically, I mean, my understanding of like the industry in general too is that more like niche stuff is a little bit more popular or like easier to get through because not a lot of people are writing or talking about it. So like sports sims are always popular for pitches because not a lot of gamers are knowledgeable on sports sims or like them at all. Like a lot of them like them, but like as far as writing about them, like there's not a lot of like a lot of games journalists, I'm guessing, don't play every edition of FIFA. Like that's just probably not a game that's on their radar. So when I pitched the FIFA article, that one was the one that stuck, and they were just like, okay, cool. Here's what I can offer you. Are these agreeable terms? And I'm like, sure, that sounds good. I'm like, when do you want it by? I was told, kind of whenever's fine, preferably by the end of whatever month we were in at the time, which I think was February. I wrote it, sent it, got edits back. It was interesting. It was my first time kind of going through the whole process. I tried to be obviously really professional about it because it's like, I am a professional in the industry, but also I was like, I've never done this before, and kind of learning about like, oh, I have edits back. Like I don't, I do get like my stuff looked over at Nerd Much and at Big Cultures and other things, but it's not the same process. Like it's kind of like, oh, you're a good writer, just post your stuff up and we'll just do a quick scan and tweak the SEO. But I'm like, oh, these are like full like edits. And then I just had to do it again. So it was hard because like I spent so much time on the draft and then having to go back and rework. But what I came away with was ultimately so much stronger than what I had. So I loved, I think Patricia Hernandez was the one that did the editing on that piece for me. And her feedback was really great. And it was nice to see it go out into the world and have people comment on it and talk to those people. It was just awesome. And it's, a story that's very like close to my heart with like, playing with my brother. And I had mentioned the Smash Bros thing in that article. So it was just really fun. And it's a really unique, weird thing that I do. And I've done so many of these FIFA tournaments that it's like, at least I got something out of it because I like sometimes like the process of, I mean, if you read through the article, you guys, anyone listening will know that like the process of like doing these tournaments with my brother and trying to win and not winning and, and of course the sibling rivalry part, but then also just the like, God, I want to like win once finally and like just like the ultimate, like the real life boss battle type thing. And then also the fun of making the tournaments, coming up with the themes, like learning more about the countries and the cultures and like in the way, sports and games connect us. Kind of what you were talking about, earlier with like, it's all about community. Like those FIFA tournaments embody so much of like the way I connect with FIFA 18 is so powerful. And I think it is for so many people that it's something that, I was really excited to write about and share with other people and get them excited about the tournaments they want to do or the things they have done like that or the teams they play with. So, and that was the scope of what that looks like. That's so awesome. Hopefully doing more pieces for, not only Kotaku, but hopefully other sites as well down the line. But of course, the process is always the same. You pitch stuff. If they like it, they're like, cool. If sometimes they don't get back to you, sometimes they do and say it's not what they're looking for or whatever. But
you just got to push on.
Yeah, you just keep pitching stuff and then stuff goes through eventually.
And that's where it comes with my anxiety is I'm trying to get over it. Mm-hmm. Is walking up to a PR person and I'm like, what the fuck do I say? Like I was talking to Sean about it. Like he has Far Cry 5.
Just fake it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, he has Far Cry 5 early and I'm just like, I just dated this video. That's fine. And I'm just like, how did you do it? And he's like, I know I'm small. I'm like, no, Sean, no. You're beautiful. You're fantastic. How did you do it though? Like, what did you say? Like I like to me, I'm just like, I am so. Mm-hmm. To say it is easier said than done. It's like I am like that anxiety. It's just like
it's so hard when you like. I mean, being small and starting out because I definitely feel like I'm very much in the early stages of my career. everything is a big deal and you don't actually know anything and it's hard to find the answers on Google and you don't want to look stupid. But
Yep.
also like you just I was watching this Q&A video. I watch a good amount of YouTube content and I try to actually watch from like other things that aren't just games
Yep.
because I think you can learn a lot about shooting videos and editing by watching non-gaming content and just like seeing what is good YouTube. So I watch Patricia Bright. She does like fashion and like some makeup stuff. Even though I don't wear any makeup, but I like watch her videos because they're good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I actually don't know what any of these things are. Like I don't know what a foundation. What does that mean? Like highlighter. Like I don't understand. But like I'll watch her do it and it's fun.
Mascara freaks me out.
Because
When
it's
they
near
put
your
it on.
eye.
Oh God, no.
Well, eyeliner is kind of more intense to me because it's like you're sticking the pencil in there. I
Oh,
do want
that's
to get
what I
into
meant.
makeup
I'm so
at some
sorry.
point,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the stick, the little pencil thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, she was doing a Q&A and she's an awesome person. It has such a great YouTube energy and like vibe, and I like that's why I follow her. And hopefully, I'm trying to kind of pick up some of that
Yep.
knowledge as well.
Yep.
But the TLDR was she was doing a Q&A and she was like, someone mentioned that they want to get into like the creative space or whatever, and she's like, I'll give you the advice someone gave me, which is, fail fast. And I think that's so true and so smart. And it's the idea that like, for PR, for pitching, for whatever, like, okay, just do it and fail fast and then move on and like get better at it. Like the longer you put off trying it, the longer you're delaying the inevitable failure of it. And then it's
Oh,
just
that's
going to end up
awesome.
being this big thing, like fail
Yeah.
fast and then move on and continue. Like, you go too often, especially in the creative space. And I'm probably a little like this, but I try not to be because I know it's a thing. But like we want to wait until it's like perfect and good because we don't want crappy stuff out there with our name on it. But the reality is like I'm not going to be producing YouTube videos that look like the quality of what Gaming Historian or
Right.
Some Call Me Johnny makes. Like
Right.
I'm not going to do that immediately. Like, and if I try to wait until I'm good enough, like it's going to be
It's gonna
forever.
be-
Like
yeah.
that's why when I started like my original YouTube stuff, back when it was very big before I did my own thing, I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna go. I don't have a microphone. I don't have a proper webcam.
We're just
This
gonna
is
do
good
it.
enough.
Yeah.
You can get the video. Doesn't sound great, doesn't look pretty, but like let's just do that and then put it on YouTube. And eventually we'll buy a camera, and eventually we're gonna and we did get those things down the line. And we did eventually have our stuff look way better. And like my YouTube
Awesome.
videos look as good as they do because shout out to Bobby from Nerd Munch. He actually sent me lighting equipment. He's like, if I give you lighting, will you use it? And I'm like, hell yes, because my room literally like, and if you look at my early YouTube videos
Yeah.
on my own channel, my Switch case reviews, my Odyssey video, and my Black Friday pickups, it's all like really gray. It has like this kind of actually, well, it looks decent in my room now because it's light, but it has
Yeah.
that yellow look
Yeah.
because my whole room is yellow and it looks like really sepia toned, and that's ugly. But I'm like, you know what, I'm not gonna wait till I can drop 30-50 bucks on lighting. I'm just gonna start, we're just gonna go and do it.
Yep.
And then it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
And
that-
people don't really care either.
No,
So
as long as you the my whole thing is like as long as you sound decent, you're fine. Like that's it. And like to me, like yeah, everywhere I go, every podcast I do, I put some lighting on. So like to me right now, you should see I live in a closet, so I can only do 2 lights. But
yeah,
I'm
it
like,
gets so hot too. It gets so hot.
dude, I have the window up constantly, or else I can't breathe through my nose. It's just like it's awful. So yeah, no, that's a great
Yeah,
tip.
you gotta
is just-
start janky. You just
yeah,
gotta go.
start janky, and people are gonna love you for it. You know, people do love a little jank every once in a while. That's why Bethesda games do so well. So like,
Yeah, one of my sorry to kind of cut you off. One of my favorite channels is Radical Reggie's channel, and he's like so inspiring and makes such great content. And his like setup is like very shoddy, because he records and edits via his phone because like he didn't have a laptop for a while. I don't know how he edits on his phone. I have no,
yeah,
and it's
I think I know
actually
what
really
you're
good. Like it actually looks
Yeah.
pretty good. Like like he adds in gameplay footage. Like it's like I'm like, how are you doing this on your phone? Like I can't do this on my computer. Like I don't understand.
yeah,
And I'm backing him on Patreon actually. I think at like $5 because he's so like he
Yeah.
grinds so hard that I'm like, I need to give you money for this. So yeah, you can be, and he's actually really popular. So it's like, is your content good? Like, do you have like some good ideas that you're like down to put out there? Yeah, I'm also slowly gonna start trying to get into like the PR space too and get games for myself
Yeah.
because I want to just have different avenues. I did actually was able to get a code of Mulaka.
Oh,
I didn't
nice.
beat it yet because I kind of got really caught up on time, but they did give it to me like a little bit before release, and I feel bad that I haven't done it yet. But like that just happens, right? That's not
Yeah,
ideal, but
yeah.
like you kind of just roll with the punches on stuff, and
Yeah.
then it'll all kind of start to funnel.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So, with that said, please, guys, if you like this video, hit like, share, subscribe. Helps us out. Builds this big, beautiful family I like to call home. Janet, where can they find you? And what I like to do at the end because you have content to show and share, and you know how to do things like this, is I don't know how to end the show, so you need to end it for me. So
Okay.
where can they find you and all that jazz?
Okay. Are you sure you don't want to say where they can find you first,
Oh, they
other
know.
than the obvious? Okay. All
Bad
right.
Bit Games, Bad Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You guys are good. It's all
Sure
about you
thing.
here, Janet.
You can find me across all my social media platforms via the handle Gameonysus. That's Onysus. You can see everything I do really easily linked on a pinned tweet on my Twitter, which once again handles Gameonysus. So my YouTube is youtube.com/Gameonysus. I'm on Patreon /Gameonysus. Same thing for Twitch, Facebook. All of that stuff. I also have an official website, which is gameonysus.com. That's actually going to get updated this week. So that'll kind of be, I'm trying to build that into like a portfolio space, like an easy place for you guys to go and kind of know everything that's happening in what the content I'm creating and what I'm doing. But yeah, that's about it. I post videos 2 times a month, but it'll go to 4 times a month once we reach $100 on Patreon. So definitely check that out if you have not already. And other than that, I had a great time on this show, and we will see you guys here next time.